This is Class Warfare, where I'll be taking a look at and discussing various class builds in Star Wars Battlefront. To explain a little about this series, I don't really want to cover the, quotes, best builds in the game, but rather the more interesting class builds. They might have a theme or certain rules to make them more interesting, and basically interesting is the #1 criteria to me. I'll discuss the star cards in the class, the weapons, and maybe some small variations, and the playstyles that work well with the class. That's pretty much it, so without further ado, let's get this started. So for the very first episode in this series, I kind of wanted to do what I consider probably the most fun class that I've come up with in Star Wars Battlefront. It's just amazingly satisfying. I call it the Way of the Jawa, and let's get into this build. So the primary weapon that you need to use for this class is the Jawa blaster, the CA-87. This class is built around this weapon. And a lot of people consider the CA-87 to be the worst gun in Battlefront. I kind of take issue with that. It can be extremely effective if you're using it right. Of course it limits your options. You have to be up close and personal with your enemies. But that's also kind of the fun and the challenge of it. The CA-87 is the most satisfying gun in Star Wars Battlefront. Now, in order to help you get up close and personal with your enemies, let's look at our first star card, and that would be the jump pack. And the jump pack doesn't really need a whole lot of explanation. It just works. If you need to get to a location quickly, use that. If there's terrain that you need to get over or on top of, use that. If you're in a sticky situation, use that to get out of the situation. It's a very, very effective star card, probably one of the best star cards in the game, and that's pretty much it. I mean, the only bad thing about it is it has a pretty long cooldown timer, so you have to use it smartly. Now, the next star card is all about giving you back some options, and namely the range option. There will be situations where you're just, the CA-87 just won't cut it, because it's too far of a range to shoot a guy. This is where this card comes in, it's the cycle rifle. So if you're in that situation where you need to take that longer shot, this is a really good way to do it. It's got a pretty quick cooldown timer. It can be kind of tricky to aim because the bullet's really, really slow, but it's also really, really fun and satisfying. So it kind of helps with the fun factor of this build, which is kind of its primary theme. And I've found that it actually does pair well with the CA-87 because it does a ton of damage. Even if you don't get that headshot, it takes most of the health of the enemy down, so more than likely they're going to be out of range where you can still use the CA-87 to make a follow-up shot. It won't be the ideal range for the CA-87, but usually it'll get the job done and finish the kill. And to give you even more range options for your build, try using Focus Shot. That's the third star card that I have in this build. It's very, very good. Basically what it does for at least the CA-87 is instead of the shotgun spread that you'd get regularly, it turns the spread into a slug, a solid slug that you shoot at your opponent. It still has a pretty significant range drop-off, I think, but it's a solid slug of all of those shots basically now in one shot. So if you can get that shot, it's doing massive, massive damage. And now since you have the cycle rifle and the focus shot, you now have some pretty good options if you need to get in a ranged fight. You still don't really want to, and it's not ideal, but at least now you have some options and you can be shooting at your opponent from range and doing some good damage, possibly even killing. And as for the trait that I use, I kind of think you have to go with Scout. It's invaluable being able to run around on the radar without showing up on the enemy radar. You need to kind of get up close and personal with this build, which is why that's so nice. The enemies won't really see you coming. The only other possibly viable one might be the bodyguard one, because you'll be taking a lot of explosive damage, but that's just going to happen anyway. I mean, you kind of just have to deal with that. I would take Scout. And that's pretty much the class. It's the Way of the Jawa. There are some slight variations you can make. I had some fun with a flash grenade. It's almost completely useless. It's really, really situational, but it can be kind of fun. Instead of focus shot, I was having some fun running the scan pulse. If there's a big group of enemies and you don't really see them all, just pop that and then go wreak havoc and clear all of them. It's a really nice star card, but I think I like focus shot just because it gives you that extra range option. You could also really switch out the cycle rifle for the pulse cannon. I just prefer the cycle rifle. I think it's a lot more fun.
There's the Emperor! Watch your back! That's the end of the Emperor.
And finally, just some random notes about the class is one thing, the reticle on the CA-87 I think is a little too wide. You will get in situations where you'll shoot at an enemy and they'll be like kind of on the far left or far right of the reticle, but still in the reticle, and you'll miss all of the shots or maybe hit like one of the shots from the shotgun, and it's not going to kill the opponent, and it's going to kind of confuse you, but that's kind of why. I think it should be a little narrower to give you a little extra precision, but it's whatever. It's something you kind of have to get used to. You're going to be missing some shots that feel like they were right on target. And then just try to stick to the hallways if you can, or corners. Always just try to surprise your enemy. And also don't be afraid to use your range. You have the ranged options with this build. Maybe stick back and be in cover, pop off your cycle rifle or your focus shot. Try to get some nice shots in and wait until a good opportunity arises. Be aggressive, but don't be dumb and don't just like feed yourself into the meat grinder. It's a lot of fun to play this class smartly, and if you can do that, I think you'll be amazed at the results you'll be getting. It's really, really satisfying and fun playing this build. I've said that so many times in this video already, I know, but it just is. This is probably my favorite build in Star Wars Battlefront just because of that. I'm not really even a shotgun type person gameplay wise in first person shooters, but man, there's something about this. I just fell in love with this gun. It's so fun. I highly recommend giving this build, or at least this gun, a shot. It might take some getting used to, but once you get there, once you get used to it, oh man, you'll be so happy. So that's pretty much all I have for this video. I really appreciate you watching this. Let me know your opinion. I'd love to know what people go to as their class, like what's their favorite class, what's your favorite class. I already have my idea for the next build I want to do, but it's probably going to take me a few weeks to get it out there. Again, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys later.
That's the end of Boba Fett.
Uplink station engaged.